Hello, welcome back to the Pillar Guidance for our Raw Materials Arena. I am Tav Cardiff. This week we are leaning into the listening pillar, the second of the spiritual pillars. And since we are taking guidance directly from my experience during this session, let's just talk a little bit about my experience with the listening pillar. I grew up near train tracks, and when I was a little kid, if I was listening for them, I would hear them, and otherwise I wouldn't. And it was always a phenomenon to me that I wouldn't hear them accidentally. It was only if I were paying attention to them that I would hear them. And so that's always been a good barometer for me in terms of what is present that I don't hear. So there can be music on, there can be all kinds of things going on around me, and I will only pick out the one or the two things that I want to hear if I'm hearing anything, because a lot of times I'm so wrapped up in my own thoughts, especially right now at this particular time, that it takes me a while to get out of what I'm thinking and into what's going on around me. In my environment that I live in right now, I have a garden and I spend a lot of time outside. I'm on a busy street that you can actually hear sounds from the highway, and we're close to a hospital, so you get a lot of sirens. And then my husband is an ex-firefighter, and so occasionally we get people that'll come by and just lay on the fire horn. So there's a lot of unexpected sounds that aren't anticipated during the day, but some of them make me smile. Obviously, the fire truck is going to make me smile, but just hearing a siren or hearing something on the highway that grabs my attention is usually a chance for me to be aware of something that's either being said or going on around me, maybe something that I'm not paying attention to. So I use unexpected sounds to force me to pay attention to something. And then I appreciate the Zen aspect of my being outside in this beautiful oasis of a garden, and then having the sounds of traffic or the sounds of the city so present in that moment that you can be in your, heart space, paying attention to the beauty of the garden, or you can tune in specifically to the sounds, and then it's all discordant and weird, and the soundtrack doesn't fit the environment. But if you play your own music or you listen to what's in your head, it does. This stuff is relative, and what we listen to or what we hear is such a big part of how we hold ourselves in connection to other things. Sometimes outside noise is just too much and we need to shut off from everything. Sometimes we need the sounds of other things going on. Right now I have something that started out as a minor irritant, but it's beginning to drive me crazy. In my bedroom, the ceiling fan, which I sleep with on every night, is starting to make just a little rattling sound that almost sounds like the dog walking across the floor, but not quite, and it's inconsistent. So it throws me a little bit from what I'm expecting and keeps me awake as I listen to that sound, which isn't very loud, but it will draw my attention more than, say, the sounds of somebody speeding on the highway in the middle of the night will. Go figure. I think what that demonstrates overall is what we are used to tuning into and paying attention to becomes background noise, or becomes background connection, or becomes just the background attachments that we have. And anything that irritates us, obviously, becomes a trigger. And then there are other things that kind of fade into the background without our attention and awareness that are maybe trying to get our attention and awareness. In Listening Week, I always encourage people to just get quiet within themselves, because when we start to hear what happens all around us, even the sounds of our house, we hear them differently than just the regular expectations that we have. But this week, I am going to issue the same challenge that I gave myself before I started recording this video, which was to listen to 3 songs at random and see what they have to say to me. So my 3-song spin that I did prior to starting this video included 3 songs that are way in the past for me. The first one was Dire Straits' Skate Away, which I've always liked, but I'm pretty far from whatever held me attached to that song. I think the angsty, alone feelings that I felt at some point when my kids were little and I was in a marriage that didn't feel very solid, that song kind of hits on those times and reminds me how far I have come just in my own connected spiritual development. And then the second song was by a favorite band of mine, the Meat Purveyors, but it was a cover of Foreigner's Hot Blooded, which was the song that I heard walking into my very first junior high school dance. And I was walking closer to the gymnasium. The song was getting louder. I knew every word, and something about the nervousness that I felt walking through the door of the school and the confidence that built with the song walking towards the gymnasium has always made me feel powerful. So even hearing that song done, bluegrass with a mandolin still feels like such a cool song, and I liked having a modern spin, at least modern for me, on something that was around when I was in junior high. The final song that I got was a new song for me, or a new artist for me, Noga Erez. And the song is The End of the Road. And her lyric over and over is, I don't know what really, really happens at the end of the road. If you get a chance, check it out. It's an amazing video. She is enigmatic and cool and awesome, and I just get a lot of energy from listening to her do what she does. I'm not even sure exactly where her ire and fire come from, but it's passionate and it's engaging, and it makes me want to learn more about what she stands for. So as I entered this listening pillar and began to engage with what information to share for this week, those were the things that came up. Try your own 3-song spin. Give yourself a chance to hear messages from the universe through random things and just see what you can connect the dots on. You don't have to adopt it into your belief system to play around with it and see if it gives you anything cool to listen to or makes you feel any more connected to the world that we all share. I will be back next week to talk about values and ideals. Until then, we will spend this week listening to the many, many, many changes coming our way as citizens of the United States and what that means for us, if anything.